Hello everyone, welcome to Cellopedia, this is Maxim. Today we continue learning how to properly warm up to get ready to have the best practice session. After our last session, I got so many interesting questions and I tried to answer them as well as I could. Make sure that you ask those questions. I might come up with the best solution or you can help each other. Stay in touch, it is very important and productive for all of us. It doesn't matter if you already watched our previous sessions or this is your first one. We will review the most important parts and we will try to build on your knowledge. Let's begin. Take a deep breath. Make sure that you feel that your upper body is moving up and down, that your shoulders are relaxed. We are going to use all that energy stored in our body. We don't want just to press on the bow to produce sound. We want to make sure that we are making sound without too much of extra effort. Deep breath and then exhale. Of course, make sure that your cello is securely positioned. You don't want to drop it. But we'll need to do it a few more times. Let's breathe in, out. And now let's do it with the bow. Breathe in, and then when you start breathing out, put the bow on the string. Your goal is to feel that your bow arm goes down without extra effort. Now we'll breathe in and out and we'll try to make sound. Let's do it one more time. Breathing in, out. It's very important to avoid an accent when you start the sound. It usually happens if you land on string with too much of effort, then string gets pressed too hard and then you try to move it. We need to avoid this kind of sound and it will take some time for you to balance your bow and to find the perfect moment when your bow is touching the string and you start moving it right away. To put it all together, let's do the whole thing again. You breathe in, out, you put the bow on the string and in one continuous motion you start making sound. We keep warming up and it's time to explore what kind of sound you can make just by changing the playing point. We will play on the D string again, but this time make sure that you put your bow on a spot quite close to the fingerboard. And when you make a bow stroke, just keep it exactly on the same spot, making sure that your bow doesn't go up here or down to the bridge. One more time. Now let's make 2 bow strokes. But again, keep the bow as close to fingerboard as you can. you can hear that now you are producing the sound of certain quality. It's not very clear, definitely not loud sound. But sometimes composers want us to make this kind of sound. When you see words sul tasto, that means that composer is seeking this particular sound quality, and you have to keep your bow closer to the fingerboard. Now we'll put the bow a bit closer to the bridge, somewhere between the bridge and the fingerboard. One more time. Now 2 bow strokes. This is the most frequently used position of the bow. It gives good balance between strength of the sound and its quality. You can still hear deep and warm sound without too much of noise in it. And now let's explore what happens if we put the bow much closer to the bridge. Not that close so it will sound extremely scratchy, which called sul ponticello on the bridge in Italian, but yet quite lower than middle point between the bridge and the fingerboard. Deep breath, and we'll put the bow about 1 centimeter above the bridge. And now let's make 2 bow strokes, down and up bow. You can hear the sound is much louder. It's actually harder to move the bow. You can feel a lot more resistance from the string. But we will need to use this sound when you have to play with a lot more energy, sometimes with short, active bow strokes. And to conclude this part of the warm-up, exploring different bow positions, we'll go from C string to A string and back, trying to use 3 playing points I talked about before. Let's play on all strings, keeping the bow closer to the fingerboard, starting from the C string. It's quite hard to keep the bow from sliding down. You have to make sure that your wrist is flexible and you are changing the angle of the bow when you move from string to string. Now let's do the same exercise but using the middle point between the bridge and the fingerboard. And the last part, keeping the bow about half an inch or 1 centimeter above the bridge. I feel that I have to fight with each string. Sound quality is quite harsh, but this is something you need to learn how to do. Quite often, music will call for it. Time to move to the second part of our session. We will use the left hand. Let's do it together, left and right hand. Remember, we tried to become as secure as possible, finding the first position even without looking at the left hand. Now we will use different fingers. We'll try to build dexterity of the left hand. We will do it on the D string. You will play E with the first finger and F several times like this. One of the important things is to establish connection between first and second finger. You should feel that distance to play in tune. You should get used to that distance between first and second fingers to play in tune. However, just placing fingers right is not enough. You have to make sure that you are using the force of the fingers in proper direction. Don't press too much or press in the wrong direction and you will hear weird sound. This is why we do it fairly slow. Make sure that you use tips of your fingers and you try to feel how your finger is touching the string and then the string goes down to the fingerboard. Make sure that you don't press too hard. If after just a minute or two your fingers are extremely tired, most likely that means you are pressing too hard. However, it's perfectly normal to feel the tips of your fingers are sore, especially if you just start playing cello. It usually takes few weeks, if not months, for skin on your fingers, tips of your fingers, to get hardened. When it happens, you will be able to play much longer without sense of discomfort. But first few practice sessions, you might experience some soreness at the tips of your fingers. If you feel it's too much, just put cello aside, come back to it a little bit later. And trust me, just a few weeks later, you will be perfectly fine. Now, let's include the third finger. We will be playing 1, 2, 3. E, F, and F sharp. And finally, all four fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back and forth, like this. When you're not using second, third, or fourth fingers, try keeping them nearby. One of the most common beginner's mistake is when we play E to have all fingers up, like this. Seems to be not a big deal, because, say, in this case, you're only using the first finger for E, but later on it will become a problem, because you will want to play faster, and simply, if your fingers are far away, it will make your playing technique very inefficient, and you will never be able to play with precision. Make sure that you keep fingers round. It's possible to do, just sometimes your pinky might get out of control, but I would say if your first three fingers are in round position, that will usually take care of the pinky too. Let's play on the A string the same exercise using all fingers. Breathe in, breathe out, start playing, keep the bow in a middle point between fingerboard and the bridge, and make beautiful sound. And of course, you can try all of those exercises on lower strings too. I'm sure you got many questions. Do yourself a favor, ask those questions, write them in the comment section. And I promise to you, I will reply as soon as I can. Stay in touch, we'll keep learning to play cello together.